Sharp claws, big fangs, huge wings, big feet. Oh, be careful. You have been warned. Hello and welcome to the Friday Fantasy Show from the Bottled Imp, exploring the realms of fantasy. My name is Ken Boyter and today we're going to be looking at 7 obscure, fantastic, fantasy mythical beasts. Oh yes, nice and snappy title. Or what do I mean by mythical beast? Well, briefly, I've written it down here actually, so I'm going to read it so I get it right. So I wanted to, have proper definitions here. It's a fictitious, imaginary and often supernatural animal, often a hybrid, sometimes part human, whose existence has not or cannot be proved, and that is described in legends, myths, mythology, fables, folklore, poetry, fairy tales, novels or other fiction, but is also in historical accounts before history became a science. Oh yeah! Thanks Wikipedia. Anyway, and why the number 7? Well, number 7 is everywhere. I mean, it's a pretty cool number as well, isn't it? It's a lucky number. But there you got the 7 deadly sins from the Bible. You've got the 7 classical planets. You've also got 7 metals of antiquity, 7 heavens, 7 days of the week, 7 colours in the rainbow, the 7 seas. The list goes on and on and on. And in numerology, 7 is the seeker, the thinker, the searcher of truth. And that's what we intend to do with this little episode. So let's seek out the truth of 7 obscure, fantastic, fantasy, mythical beasts. 7 obscure, fantastic, fantasy, mythical beasts. Just to point out, these aren't in a top sort of 7 order. They're just 7. But because we like a countdown, we will be counting down.
Listen.
I don't know if that worked or not, but anyway, here we go. Yes, at number 7 we have the Wolpertinger, and this is where you laugh at my pronunciations of these as well. But what is a I knew this would happen. A Wolpertinger. What does it look like? And how do you pronounce it? Anyway, it is a mythological hybrid animal made up from various animal parts. Nice. That is worth a toot of a horn. Made up of things like wings, antlers, tails, fangs, and they're all attached to a body of a small mammal. Spooky. The most common appearance is the head of a rabbit, the body of a squirrel, the antlers of a deer, and the wings of and just wings, just any sort of wings, and occasionally the legs of a pheasant. Now it would have been weird if I'd said peasant, but that's something completely different. The origins. This nimble, agile and unusual looking beast can only be found scurrying around in the woodlands of Bavaria in Germany. Traits and personality, I love this. The Wolpertinger is a very shy creature and will often run away from people. So anybody that goes hunting, they're very shy. They're not just going to come out and let you kill it. Oh no. But it does have a real weakness of beauty. It likes beautiful people, especially the female form, and falls into a rigid spasm if they see a lady of extraordinary beauty. Who'd have thought, eh? So, next one.
X.
Yes, in at number 6, again, no particular order, it's just fun to do a countdown, is the Imp... the Impundula. Impundula. What does an impundula look like? Well, it translates as lightning bird, which I do find slightly easier to say. And yes, as you probably guess, it's a big, huge bird. And some say it's the size of a human, the size of a man, or a tall person. And it's believed to manifest itself only through lightning. Interesting. In these reported cases, it is said to appear in many forms, as a black rooster-like bird, a bird with iridescent feathers like a peacock's, also said to have a fiery red tail, but sometimes it can masquerade as a human. I love that particular aspect, because you go, did you see one of these? And go, yeah, what did it look like? Well, it looked like a human. Are you sure that wasn't just a human? No, it definitely was one of these creatures. I love that. The origins of the lightning bird is a creature believed by several tribes in South Africa, including the Pondu, the Zulu, and the Huza tribe. Forgive me the pronunciation there. Traits and personality. It is capable of creating rumbles of thunder and howling winds by flapping its big wings. That almost rhymed as well. It can also cause flashes of lightning by quickly flying down to Earth and going through the Earth's surface to lay its eggs. That's crazy talk. But the terrifying aspect of the Impundula is the fact that it sucks the blood of cattle, birds and even humans to sate its vast thirst. So basically, it's a vampire bird. Shape-shifting into human form is a cunning plan, as people are less likely to run away from it, making it easy for it to catch its prey and to feed. So obviously, that's a bit tricky, isn't it? Are you a human or are you one of these birds that's just going to suck my blood? Their eggs are highly sought after, as you can imagine, because they can be ground into fine powder and used to cast curses and evil spells. I love that.
I.
Yep, in at number 5 is the Keeling. What does a Keeling look like? The legendary beast is the Chinese equivalent of the unicorn. It has an antler on its head, fish-like scales covering its body, the hooves of a deer, and the head of a dragon. What a mixture. Plus, it's got a mane that always flows upwards and a beard. You've got to have a beard on a creature. What's not to like? The body is coloured in 5 sacred shades: blue, red, yellow, white and black. Origins. 5,000 years ago, an ancient emperor was sitting on a riverbank when the Keeling appeared by his side. Unusual markings and symbols covered the creature's scales, and the emperor etched these into the mudbank. These symbols formed the characters of the ancient Chinese language. I love that. Traits and personality. The Keeling is gentle in nature. So gentle, it won't eat vegetation. That's how gentle it is. Thought to only appear with the arrival and passing of an admired ruler. They are believed to be a good omen, symbolising prosperity and peace.
Oh.
Here we go, yes, number 4, the Beer Moth. And what does the Beer Moth look like? I know you're asking that. There is no settled opinion on what the Beer Moth looked like. Oh, yes. Suggestions range from a mythological creature to an elephant, a hippopotamus, a rhinoceros, or a buffalo. Again, maybe that's just what they are. But who am I to question this? The beast is a herbivore, grazing on grass, flowers, and plants. I can't read my own writing here. It also drinks rivers, there you go, and it drinks them dry because it's very, very thirsty. The origins, well, the beer moth is first mentioned in the Bible in Job 40, 15 to 20. Look at beer moth, which I made as I made you. It eats grass like an ox. Its strength is in its loins, and its power in the muscles of its belly. It makes its tail stiff like a cedar. The suins of its thighs are knit together. Its bones are tubes of bronze. Its limbs like bars of iron. Now, I really want to look at the Bible and go through it and see all the fantastical fantasy beasts and creations and magic that's in the Bible. But that's another episode. How cool is that? Traits and personality. Well, according to legend, every summer the beer moth lets out an enormous roar to strike fear into all other predatory animals on Earth. All of them. All over the Earth. Stopping on other creatures by taming their ferocity. So that's what it does. So it just lets out, I'm the king of the beasts, basically. Some young Earth creationists identify beer moth as possibly a sauropod dinosaur, arguing that no other animal has a tail like this, like a cedar, despite the fact that the Bible does not say is like a cedar, but instead moves like a cedar. Is that just semantics? We'll find out. Or will we? How will we? Have you seen a beer moth? Call this number. No, let's not go down into that route. Metaphorically, the beer moth has just come to mean an extremely large or powerful entity. And we all know about that if you've been watching Robot Wars.
Num e.
Yes, in at number 3, in no particular order obviously, the Mongolian death worm. Oh yes. What does the Mongolian death worm look like? Well, you probably got a pretty good idea. These worms are purportedly between 2 and 5 feet long, that's 60 centimetres or 1.5 metre, are thick-bodied and have rows of sharp teeth. Don't want to put your hand too near. Origins like Bigfoot? Like Big Feet, like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, no one is quite sure whether or not the creature actually exists. How convenient. Although it is rumoured to live in the Gobi Desert. The creature first came to Western attention in 1926 via the book On the Trail of Ancient Man by the American paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews. He was not entirely convinced that the tales of the monster that he had heard were true. And he did overhear there's a gathering of Mongolian officials claiming none of those present had ever seen the creature, but they all firmly believed in its existence and described it minutely. Traits and personality. Mongolian death worms are said to spew a corrosive poison or acid that can kill anything it touches, while others say it can emit a charge or pulse of electricity similar to that of an electric eel or ray. The worms are thought to be so deadly that the mere touch of one will cause paralysing. I got the word slightly wrong there. And, in the worst case scenario, death. So again, you don't really want to get too close to these. There is a high possibility that these worms may have inspired the writing of science fiction writer Frank Herbert in his sci-fi classic Dune. There are giant worms that live in the desert on a planet called Arrakis. And I know I might have probably mispronounced that. Although these worms can grow to hundreds of feet in metres in length. That's in the book, not in the real legend. Anyway, you know what I mean. And straight in at number 2, it's a shame we haven't, been doing like a pop chart or something, is, and this is going to be the best one of the pronunciation, the Aspidostielone. Oh yes, maybe we'll put the titles on the screen. I don't know. Anyway, what does it look like? The Aspidostielone is a fabled sea creature, often mistaken as an island. Such is its size and rough, abrasive shell that resembles rock. I love this idea. Said to live for more than 1,000 years, its shell would accumulate all sorts of debris, starting with small patches of grass, coral and moss, eventually playing host to all sorts of plants and trees. You've got trees growing out the back of it. Sometimes an entire ecosystem would be supported. Lobsters and crabs live peacefully in rock pools. How cool is that? The origins, well, the name Aspidostielone appears to be a compound word combining Greek aspios, which means either asp or shield, and Scialone, the turtle, is... that means the turtle. Yes, sorry. Scialone is the turtle. And he's mentioned in the Physiologius, I can't read, can I? And medieval bestiaries. So there's books that have documented this. And the Philologius, I should get somebody to do these, shouldn't I, is a didactic Christian text that was written or compiled in Greek by an unknown author in Alexandria. Its composition has been traditionally dated to the 2nd century AD by readers who saw parallels with the writing of Clement of Alexandria. So they're saying that this creature was in that book way back in the 2nd century AD. And in that book, there's all sorts of description of animals, birds, fantastic creatures, and sometimes stones and plants provided with moral context. Each animal is described with an antidote, with a little story that follows, from which moral and symbolic qualities of the animal are derived. So if it's written down, if it's in black and white, surely it's real. Traits and personality. It's predominantly docile and gentle in nature. It's basically a big turtle. That's basically what it is. So you have to be warned, though, because trespassing on its shell could cause it to swim underwater and drown you in deep waters of the sea. So it's not all nice. Yes, here we go, the big one, in at number 1. And again, these are just no particular order, but we do like a countdown. Hydra of Lerna. What does the Hydra of Lerna look like? Well, it's a huge multi-headed serpentine water monster from Greek and Roman mythology. The origins in Hesiod's Theogonomy, the 700 BC poem describing the origins and genealogies of the Greek gods, the Hydra is first recorded, while the oldest images of the monster are to be found on a pair of bronze fibulae dating to roughly around about the same sort. Around about the same sort of year. So its actual home is being in the waters of Lake Lerna, hence its name. And that is south of Argos in Greece. Not Argos the shop, come on, you're better than that. Traits and personality. The Hydra of Lerna has the ability of autonomy, meaning that if a creature lost a limb, one of its heads for example, 2 heads would grow back in its place. So it has the capability of growing back a limb. Now I think some frogs do that as well, so it's not totally out of the realms of possibilities there. And the king Eurystheus sent the hero Hercules to slay the Hydra for his second labour. Hercules took his nephew along to help. Now the weakness of the Hydra was that it's only invincible if it retained at least one of its head. So after Hercules grew more and more frustrated by chopping off the heads, and then they all grew back again, but 2 more grew in one of its place, his nephew saw this and thought of a cunning plan. Oh yes, when Hercules started to hack off the necks of the beast, he used a flaming torch to seal and scorch the wounds shut so that no head could grow back through it. That's quite a clever idea, isn't it? And on slaying the horrid beast, Hercules dipped his arrow into the Hydra's blood, which was thought to be poisonous, and that he then used in future quests. So there we are. There we have it. That's 7 obscure, fantastic fantasy beasts. We hope that you have enjoyed that. 7 obscure fantastic, I'm going to get it wrong at some point, fantastic mythological beasts. Did you have a favourite? Did you know of any of those? Had you not heard of any of those? Let us know in the comments on our YouTube channel. Obviously under this episode, that would probably make more sense. But we also do have a Facebook group, and it is called the Bottled Imp Fellowship over on Facebook. So just search for that and then click the join button and we'll add you in. So if you have got some others that you know I didn't list, I mean, this was just scratching the surface when I did research, but there's hundreds of these creatures out there. What's your favourite? Let us know. That's all we have time for. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe, because then you will get instant, I hope anyway, instant notification of when we have our episodes. That's all we have time for, so thank you for watching. Remember to keep it unreal, especially if you're a Mongolian death worm.